Today we're going to learn 3 easy ways that you can start making killer solos over the classic Jimmy Sax track, No Man, No Cry. So grab your sax, let's get stuck in. So we're going to start really easy for our first strategy. No theory, we're just going to use 3 notes. On the alto saxophone, we're going to use the note B and C sharp and D. So I've got 1, 2, 3 on the left hand and the right hand, and I've got my octave key on for D. B, C sharp and D. So if you're a tenor player, that would be the notes E, F sharp and G. Oh, by the way, if you want to check out how we're helping thousands of students with lessons like this inside Sax School every day, you can try it out yourself for 14 days. There's a link to the free trial down below. Okay, let's get started with our first jam. I'm going to pop the track on now. Here's how it's going to work. I'm going to play the first 2 bars using those 3 notes, but just making up a simple melody. I'm going to keep the notes really easy with just those 3 notes, and I'm going to keep my rhythms really easy too. Then it'll be your turn to make up something in your 2 bars. Now, I'm not going to tell you what notes I'm playing, and please don't ask me in the comments to write out the music for you, because the idea here is to use your creativity, use those 3 notes and come up with your own idea, but you can use what I'm playing as inspiration. After your 2 bars, it'll be back to me and then back to you as we go through this solo 2 times. Are you ready? Let's go. Awesome, how'd you get on with that? Now this might be the sort of thing that you want to do a few times over to really start to build your creativity and your confidence. And the more times you do it, the more interesting ideas you'll come up with. Let's move on to stage 2. Okay, in the second stage, we're going to add a couple of concepts. First of all, we're going to expand our note choices. So we've got 5 notes to play in the first section. And secondly, I want to tell you about the structure of the chords and what's actually going on, because this will help us to come up with some really interesting note choices. So for the first section, we're going to expand our note choices to 5 notes. So on the alto saxophone, we've already got B, C sharp and D. We're also going to add E and F sharp. So of course on the tenor, that means we've got E, F sharp, G, A and B. Now I mentioned we're going to talk about the form of this solo as well. And this solo is pretty easy because it can be broken down into 3 easy sections. So it's a 16 bar solo in total, and the first 12 bars are all the same chord pattern. And that's our section number 1 with the 5 notes we've just discussed. After that though, we go to 2 bars of section 2, and then we finish with 2 bars of section 3. Now in this lesson, we're not going to go into the chord structures and the anchor notes and how to choose the good notes for passing between the chords and all that sort of stuff. We'll cover all of that inside Sax School, so when you're ready, go check out the courses that we've got in there. But today's really just about getting started, having some fun with easy note choices. So let's just focus on the note choices for the section 2 and section 3. So I'm just going to show you 3 notes for section 2 and section 3. For section 2, we use F sharp, G and A on the alto. And then for section 3, we use A sharp or B flat. So you could use your 2 fingers in the side key or your first finger on the B key and that little B flat key. So A sharp, B and C sharp. Okay, so section 2 sounds like this. And section 3 Let's look at the notes on tenor. So for tenor players, it's B, C sharp, and D for section 2. And then D sharp, so I'm adding my little pinky finger down there, D sharp, E, and F sharp for section 3. Okay, let's get stuck in with our second jam for today's lesson. So I'm going to pop the track back on again, and this time we're going to still take 2 bars each. I'll go first for 2 bars. I'm going to use those 5 notes from section 1 to make up some interesting melodies. Then it'll be your turn for 2 bars. When we get to section 2 though, we're just going to take 1 bar each. I'll go for 1 bar, you go for 1 bar. And then for section 3, same. I'll go for 1 bar, and you go for 1 bar. All right? Remember to keep your melodies simple, keep your ideas and your rhythm simple too. Let's just have some fun and see what we can come up with. All right, how'd you get on with that? Isn't it interesting when you start to add in some new notes? Plus, don't you think it's interesting how in section 2 and section 3 you can pretty much just stick on 1 note in there and it still sounds really, really good because the chords are moving and there's other things happening in the texture of the song. Oh, hey, just before we move on to section 3, tell me, do you like these sort of lessons or would you like to see more like this on the channel? Let me know in a comment. Okay, for strategy number 3, we're going to take it up a notch and look at how we can use interesting rhythms in our solos to really bring our solo to life. And if you listen to the original track with Jimmy Sax, he uses rhythmical ideas all the way through. They are very simple ideas and he plays them over and over and over, but it adds a lot of tension and excitement to the solo. And we can do that too. So we're going to look at one rhythm that Jimmy uses on his track, and we're going to learn it here today. Now, even if you don't know about reading rhythms and understanding subdivisions and all that stuff, counting, don't worry about that. I'm going to show you an easy way to learn it. This is what the rhythm sounds like. Okay, so it sounds really complicated, but let's slow it down, and I'm going to show you a little trick for learning this rhythm. All right, so give this a go. We're going to use these words over this rhythm, and I think it might make it easier for you. I like to play sax in time. I like to play sax in time. Can you say that with me? I like to play sax in time. I like to play sax in time. Now, there's an interesting thing happening here. Of all of these notes, the first one lands on a beat. In other words, if I'm clapping on the 4 beats of the bar, the first note lands on a clap. And the only other note that lands on the clap is the very last note, time. So let's go very slowly and try clapping the beat and saying the words. You ready? Here we go. 3, 4. I like to play sax in time. I like to play sax in time. I like to play sax in time. Let's try it a bit faster. I like to play sax in time. I like to play sax in time. I like to play sax in time. So how'd you get on with that? You feeling comfy with it yet? It's okay to practice it a little bit, so just rewind the video a little bit if you want to go and check that part out. Okay, let's put that into action with a jam session, our third and final jam session of the lesson today. Now we're going to start by using that rhythm. I'm just going to use it on a single note, and I'll get you to copy me. So remember, 2 bars for me, 2 bars for you. But then I'm going to try expanding out and looking at different note choices and maybe moving between the notes using that rhythm. Let's see what we can come up with. And don't forget, on section 2, it's just 1 bar each, and section 3, it's 1 bar each. Here we go. Hey, well done. That's brilliant. It's much more challenging, that third jam session, isn't it? But we've covered quite a lot of stuff in the lesson today, and I definitely suggest that you go back and use this lesson loads of times, because the more that you practice this lesson, the more creativity you'll discover in your own playing, and you'll be able to make more and more exciting solos by combining all of the things we've spoken about today. But I've got one final tip and piece of advice for you before we finish up today, and that is, whenever you're working on your improvising, it's so important that you really focus on keeping your melody lines and your rhythms super simple. Now, I know it's tempting to play high and to play fast and to get complicated, but you know what? The solos that work the best are the ones that are simple and are in time, because they're the ones that are going to feel the most natural to you, and they're going to feel the most natural to your listener, and your listener will be able to connect with them too. So as you're working through any improvising lessons like today, please do go slow, keep it simple, keep it rhythmical, and then it's going to be a lot more fun. I'd love to help you with more lessons like this inside Sax School, so when you're ready, go check out the full range of lessons. Don't forget about the free trial down below, but keep practicing hard, and I'll catch you on the next lesson.